Well, here's a return of a series no one probably watched my channel. But this particular anime review series to come back, especially since I had finished reviewing the OVA for the OVA series tonight is a particular series. This is the JoJo's Bizarre Adventures anime review. I'm reviewing from part 2 episode because here's the reason why. The series anime is coming back in October, and it's going to be an adaptation of part 5. So my guess is the anime was like, okay, we need something to get people's attention. So why not an adaptation of another one of the one shot associated with the character who appeared in Diamonds Unbreakable? And his name is Rohan Kishibe. Yes, this is basically the second episode. Basically, this is of Thus Spoke Kishibe Rohan, episode 2, Mosswood Hill. Yep. This one, like the last one I watched, was particularly very weird. Where usually with these ones, usually there's a bit of, let's say, some supernatural stuff at least. Yeah, but this supernatural thing was particularly very weird. Okay, the OVA starts out like the last one did, with Rohan at a cafe and meeting with his editor. Now, those of you who probably saw the last one, thinking, is this the smoking hot editor who was there last time? No, this is a completely different person. As a matter of fact, I should point out though, the first OVA was an adaptation of the 5th one-shot. This is an adaptation of the 2nd one-shot associated with the character Rohan. By the way, it's probably himself, probably loosely based on the manga writer who is, how do you pronounce the guy's name here? Hiroshiko Araki. Yeah. Actually, Millionaire Village is actually an adaptation of the 3rd one-shot. My mistake. Yeah. The 3rd one. So, my guess is because these are a series of one-shots, they're not that well connected. This one is, well, somehow, okay, the reason why that this, apparently he's the editor's new guy anyways, but the next one's replaced by a smoking hot editor anyways. So, he meets him at a cafe. Of course, I think he's reading and drinking some iced coffee. Okay. And he is meeting him because he wants to get a loan. Because Rohan is bankrupt and living with one of his, how should I put this? Living with one of his fans. Yes, because apparently he has lost that great house that he had in the series. What's the guy's name he's living with? I had to look up here. What is the guy's name? I have to look him up on here. Let's see. His name is Hiroshi. Yep, Hiroshi. Yep. And yeah. Yeah, so he's living with him and he's alone because the reason why he needs a loan because he's gone bankrupt buying 6 mountains for research. Dude, how much money did you spend to go frickin' bankrupt? I mean, you're a famous manga artist and you spent all your money buying mountains for research? Seriously, dude, what the heck is your problem? I mean, I don't think even the writer of the series does that. I mean, I've heard about one particular writer, I think it's Kubo, I think it is. Yeah, he actually lives in a very expensive area of Tokyo. And my guess is the reason he's able to afford it, living in this expensive studio apartment, because of royalties he gets from Bleach. Yeah, my guess is Akira must get the same thing. Okay, so, what is he researching? A Yonki. I have never heard of this term before. Apparently, it deals with corpses. Yep, corpses. Yeah. Where the story is this. Okay, he tells a story. Now, like last one, they actually go to the place. This one, they kind of do, but they don't go inside. Okay, the story for this is this. A woman who's set to marry another guy is telling her boyfriend to leave. To take his video games with him. Yeah, the video game system looks like he's playing. It looks like it's a PS1. Actually, no, I think it could be a PS. The way his appearance looks in here, it kind of looks like a PS3. That's what it looks like in here. But I'm thinking though, if this takes place a few short years after the events of Part 4, shouldn't this be a PS2? Then why in the world does this thing look like a PS3? No idea. Maybe the animators probably misthought a PS2 was PS3. But yeah, I know it's one of the PlayStation systems is the controller he used. That's a DualShock he's using. Now I should point out though, in Part 3, which took place in the 80s, Star Wars Crusaders, they actually use something similar to an NES. This is basically a Japanese version of the Famicom. Yeah. In the case of this, he's playing PlayStation. Yeah, but it looks like it. I mean, does take place a few short years because it's in the early 2000s. It's probably a PS2, but my guess is the animators must have mistaken it for PS3 because the console looks like he's playing is a PS3. That or because, well, the anime was made recently, so it has to update the look of the actual console itself. And he's telling the guy to leave. She's telling him to leave because her fiance's coming over along with her father. So tells him frequently to leave. Tells him like no, and of course she kind of pushes him off. He hits her once because he hit her. She hit him first, and then she pushes him into a set of golf clubs. And somehow, and I should point out though, the club she's actually hit with, I actually own one of those clubs. Believe it or not, there's actually a type of club that looks like that. Normally, this is a putter. Yeah. So, he got killed with a putter. Yes, that is literally what this type of club is called. It's a putter. It's this rectangular club that does stick out the way it does here. And I gotta praise the animators who actually get the look right. They don't say it's a putter. But as someone like me who actually plays golf, I actually know exactly what this thing is. And I own the damn thing. So, he gets hit in the head with a golf, and somehow, normally when someone's hit in the head like that and they bleed, the bleeding stops like right away. It doesn't like go over the place like this does. This keeps like no matter what she does, try to get the guy to stop bleeding. Somehow this guy keeps on bleeding. I mean, she's trying to put a towel over it. Okay. Now this is particularly quite unusual. I think this is sort of a freak accident because normally, when a clubs are usually up like that, unless, of course, this woman is probably not that strong to do this, because somehow she's strong enough to push a fully grown man into a set of golf clubs. Now look at this woman. She looks like she's a pretty average-sized woman. Pretty thin and lovely woman, mind you, with a nightgown, of course, with a black bra and panties, because we do get a chance to see in here. And somehow she's able to push a fully grown man. Somehow, sometimes women get unnatural strength sometimes. But normally another guy can do this to another guy, and another woman can do it to another woman. But a woman doing it to a guy, unless somehow this woman works out, which by looking at this woman, she does not look like she works. She does kind of look like a little bit. She looks like she works out, but it's Japan. A lot of the women there are pretty thin anyways. I'm not talking about the person. I'm talking about their body structure, okay? So somehow this woman is strong enough to push a guy who looks like he's on steroids and pushes him into a set of golf clubs. Even she's curious, like, what the heck are those golf clubs doing there? This OVA never bothers to explain where the heck these golf clubs came from. They could be her lover's golf clubs. Yeah, it is explained this guy is a part-time gardener. Okay, I can buy that with the guy's muscular structure and the guy being a gardener. I don't have a problem with that at all because I have met people. Now, this guy could be easy. This is a guess. He's a part-time gardener. Basically, he's a landscaper. Okay, fine. Do I have a problem with him basically having muscles? No, because he probably works out before he starts gardening. Or he could have got the muscles that way because of basically gardening. So, she somehow picks up this guy, and she's struggling with him. So she drags him to the kitchen, which this is a small. It looks like this is referred to as a guest house. Yeah. So she drags him over to there. She's still bleeding, and after he uses the towel, then she uses disinfectant on the wound, and then she tapes up, and somehow still he bleeds, and then she tries to sew the wound shut. Normally this would work, but somehow it bursts too, still bleeding. So she basically just rolls him up with a rug, puts on top of her refrigerator, and just scrubs. Look like she's scrubbing a thing down. She somehow took the time to put on an apron. This looks like this guy is shooting blood all over this apartment. Yeah, it looks like, I mean, the way the anime depicts this blood, it looks like it's sprayed all over this apartment. And somehow she took the time to put him on top of the fridge, push it over, and in order to cover up the fact that he's bleeding, she somehow looks like she's drinking the blood, which is kind of gross. And then she eventually decided to do something quite unusual. First, she sort of, after she marries the guy, after she marries the guy who was his fiance, married him, and then she does part of her chores, take this looks like a beaker of blood and dump it down the drain. Apparently, it's just part of normal duties. And eventually, after the guest house is demolished, she moved the body somehow to the attic, put it in the box, and somehow she's able to spray water on this thing, on this corpse. That's why this looks like he's drained all his blood anyways, and turn it back to his natural appearance. Yeah. And then somehow she's able to sort of take care of the corpse. Even though I'm sure her husband probably suspecting, hey, honey, why in the world is our attic smelling like rotted feces up there? Unless somehow she's able to use Febreze. It's like somehow her husband is written to be so stupid that he can't even notice a simple smell. Oh, by the way, how many times do you see your husband in this entire OVA? Like, roughly a couple times. You see him only in 2 scenes. You see one when he arrives the actual the house, and you see him a little bit later eating at a table. And that's all you see of the guy. You hear him talk maybe twice. He gets maybe a couple lines, doesn't say very much. And after he wraps up the story, somehow, yeah, and then he somehow takes a guy with him just trying to get buy the place. And he meets a little girl, looks like she's I'd say about 12, maybe 15 years old. Somehow she's able to trip over a rock and hit her head on another rock, and somehow bust her head open. Now, he didn't touch her at all. He's basically, look like he's trying to grab her because she somehow knows of him because, well, he's famous. And somehow, despite the fact he didn't touch her at all, it looks like he's inches away. I'd say about 5 or 6. He's barely touching her. And somehow she trips over a rock, hits her head on. Now, normally, under normal circumstances, a person might be knocked unconscious by this. Not normally killed. This seems like a very stupid way to get killed off. I've seen this also in one form of fiction. It's called Injustice Gods Among Us, of how Dick Grayson got killed, where he got hit with a baton and hit his head on a rock. Yeah, quite stupid that is. And then he's able to use his stand ability, Heaven's Door. The only time in the anime he actually uses this devil ability. Actually, we have 2 times. It's mentioned in Flash. He mentioned that he had used it on the woman who basically he's talking about. And he writes in her head that she never met him and somehow saves her life. And then we cut back to the present. Even its editor is shocked to see this, where somehow Josuke, Koichi, and Nimajawa somehow, and this is never explained at all. Somehow, oh yeah, and also the alien shows up as well. I'm like, really? The alien shows up as well? Yeah. And somehow these 4 teleport out of nowhere. Even I'm curious, like, how the heck did these four manage to pop up? Now, how did these four manage to get there without the editor even noticing? Somehow find the time to find four chairs and sit at the same table with this manga artist, which all four of these guys are friends with. And also, isn't this alien trapped in an electrical tower? Yes, isn't this guy trapped in an electrical tower? With another guy whose ability is his particular tower itself. It is particularly very weird, to say the least. Yes, it is weird. And by far, and this is also the second OVA in a row where Josuke shows up and he doesn't say anything. Yep, the alien guy, which I actually kind of like this character anyways. He is from the Magella Cloud, which actually is a real place in space. It actually is real. And somehow, and of course they don't show the spaceship anyways, it's still in orbit after all this time. Yeah. So each of these kids, these four must be because when you first see these four, they're in high school. And since this takes place a few years after the course of this after the course of part 4, so these characters must be all in college. Even though they're still wearing this uniform. My guess is probably colleges probably have the same simple uniform. Yeah. But particularly very weird OVA. And oh yeah, does Russian get his loan? Never revealed at all, because next time we see him, he somehow got his house back. Somehow. And new editor. Yep. Smoking hot editor who with a fiance. Yeah, I like her better. Not just because she's hot, because she's more interesting. This guy seems very bland, to say the least. Yeah. But otherwise, though, that's really it. Really good OVA. I like the story. But, oh yeah, I also point out, I almost forgot before I point out, though, the little girl is, it's not exactly fully revealed. It suggests this girl is the daughter of the woman who killed her lover. How she was conceived is quite gross. Somehow this is possible, even though this guy's been dead for some time. So this woman committed necrophilia to get a child with this gardener. Okay. So apparently the writer of the series implied necrophilia in a manga. I've heard about this in real life of someone doing this. As a matter of fact, there's a famous story in Key West where a guy was in love with a woman who was one of the refugees from Cuba, who was actually a patient of his, died of a disease. Apparently, decided to dig up this woman's corpse. Of course, he also built her too many ways, and did a black wedding. Apparently, some Spanish do, anyways, and somehow it's implied that he had sex with the corpse, and may have implied this corpse got pregnant. Yeah. This is a story. Oh, in case you wondering how I found out about this particular story, haunted history. Yes, that's how I found out about this particular story. So, I have heard about something like this. But, that was with a guy with a female corpse. This is with a woman with a male corpse. Can't you see how gross this is? Yeah, and DC Comics has a hardcore necrophiliac called Black Pan. Yeah, apparently fiction loves having people who are necrophiliacs for some reason. It's really gross and bizarre. But that's how fiction is. In real life, it's a lot more gross than it is in fiction. Yeah. Excuse me, but yeah, that's really it for this particular OVA. I know this is kind of gross to talk about necrophilia, but I had to bring up because it's one complete necrophilia. Now, in real life, as far as I know, this might be like a misdemeanor at best to get, but it's not like a life sentence to do this. It's maybe a misdemeanor, a fine, and of course, maybe ask someone to leave town or whatever, but yeah, it's mainly a misdemeanor at best because it's not exactly, it is frowned upon to do this thing, but it's not like, let's say and of course, this woman is never investigated for this at all. No one, and of course, her father never suspects the fact one of his gardeners is dead. Nope. Yeah, it's you basically when you finish watching this OVA, it's like okay, one does Rohan get his loan? It's never revealed because somehow in the next chapter he's basically back normal anyways. And of course, this whole thing is never mentioned next one shot. Nope, never is. Two, the four characters teleporting. How the heck did they even get there? Suggesting teleporting. Three, what happens to Zeta there because it was never revealed. I mean, there's many questions you leave. In the case of Millionaire Village, it's a satisfying one shot. It's a satisfying OVA with maybe one or two questions. This one has got a bunch of them. Yep. But yeah, not much else to say, but that's really it for this particular review. My next review I'm going to do right after this is a comic corner. And after that, Boruto. Yeah, hopefully get the conclusion to that stupid upward JoJo. Okay? But we'll see you next review. Bye.